Welcome back, viewers. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Shivan Chandna. This is Speed News. Let's get started. US President Donald Trump called Elon Musk's new political party ridiculous and believes starting a third party only adds confusion to the US political system. Trump stated that US has always functioned best under a two-party system and third parties have never been successful. Trump's trade comes after the tech billionaire who once backed the Republican Party said that he wanted to challenge the United States party system. Musk had previously been a supporter of Trump, but clashed after disagreements over spending cuts and policy. Earlier, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also slammed Musk's attempts to enter the political fray, asking him to stick to running his companies. He claimed the billionaire's board of directors must not be happy with his announcement. US President has warned that countries aligning themselves with policies of BRICS will face an additional 10% tariff with no exceptions. Trump's move comes after BRICS leaders condemned rising unilateral trade tariffs by the United States, warning that they threaten global trade in their joint declaration. They said this. Donald Trump said that his meeting with Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, in the White House will include talks on a permanent deal with Iran. Trump said that US is working on a lot of things with Israel, including a probable permanent deal with Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, who landed in the United States, is scheduled to meet with the US President. Both leaders will be appearing together for the first time since the joint Israeli-US attack last month on Iran's nuclear facilities. Israel launched a wave of airstrikes on Yemen's Houthi-controlled areas, specifically targeting the ports of Hodeidah, Ras Isa and Salif, as well as the Ras Kantib power plant. The Israeli military stated that these strikes were in response to repeated attacks by the Iran-aligned Houthi rebels against Israel. Israel said that after the strikes, it intercepted 2 missiles launched from Yemen. The Israeli military has issued an evacuation warning to Palestinians in Khan Younis, southern Gaza Strip, due to an impending heavy bombardment in the area. Military spokesperson Avichai Adrai stated that Israeli forces are operating with extreme force and will target areas used for launching rockets towards Israel, urging residents to evacuate immediately westward and avoid returning to combat zones. The development comes amid escalating violence in Gaza, with the Israeli army striking approximately 130 separate sites across the strip on Sunday. Russian strikes have hit several parts of Ukraine, resulting in at least 4 deaths and over 30 injuries, according to regional officials. The Ukraine State Emergency Service reported 2 fatalities in the Sumy region and 1 in Odessa, while the governor of Kherson confirmed a 35-year-old man was killed in the region. More than 30 people have also been wounded, according to Ukrainian officials in different parts of the country. The attacks have caused widespread damage and casualties, echoing recent intense Russian assaults on Ukrainian cities. A Seoul court will hold a hearing on Wednesday to review a request by special prosecutors to detain former South Korean President Yoon Yeol. The special counsel team investigating Yoon's martial law declaration in December last year had filed the request to detain Yoon Yeol on allegations of abuse of power and obstruction of justice. Yoon Yeol's lawyers have argued that special prosecutors have not provided credible evidence for the charges, calling the request for an arrest warrant unreasonable. They now plan to challenge it in court. South Korean activists, including Lee Mon-bok, have halted sending balloons with anti-North Korea leaflets across the border, anticipating a crackdown by the new administration of President Lee Jae-myung. The new president has promised to ease tensions with Pyongyang and warned activists will face severe punishment if they continue. The leaflet launches have long been a point of contention between the two Koreas, with North Korea viewing them as a provocation. Some residents near the border have welcomed the halt, citing safety concerns. Erin Patterson, a 50-year-old Australian woman, has been found guilty of murdering her estranged husband's parents and his aunt by serving them beef Wellington laced with deadly death-cap mushrooms at her home in Leongatha, Victoria. Throughout a trial lasting more than 2 months, Patterson maintained the beef and pastry dish was accidentally poisoned with death-cap mushrooms, the world's most lethal fungus. But a 12-person jury found the 50-year-old guilty of triple murder. She was also found guilty of attempting to murder a fourth guest who survived. A 50-year-old woman was severely injured in a lion attack at the zoo in Queensland, Australia. The incident occurred on Sunday morning while she was watching the animal keepers. They were watching the animal keepers work in zoo's carnivore precinct before open hours. The lion grabbed her arm, causing significant damage, and she was airlifted from the rural town of Pilton to Brisbane's Princess Alexandra Hospital for surgery. Unfortunately, reports suggest she lost her arm in the attack. The United Arab Emirates has denied reports claiming that the country grants golden visas to investors in digital currencies. The clarification over the matter comes after reports circulated on certain websites claiming that golden visas were issued to cryptocurrency investors. The Securities and Commodities Authority reiterated its commitment to internationally recognized standards for regulating the UAE's financial and securities sectors. It emphasized that investment in digital currencies is governed by established legal frameworks and is not linked to golden visa eligibility. It warned the public against misleading information and encouraged reliance on official sources. US President Donald Trump has called Texas floods a 100-year catastrophe. Trump said he would visit Texas on Friday as the state reels from devastating flash floods that killed more than 80 people, with dozens still missing. The death toll from the catastrophic floods in Texas has climbed to 82 now, including 28 children who were part of a summer camp. As the rescue and search operations enter the third day, 41, including 10 children, are still missing. Boats and helicopters have been deployed as search operations continue. Rescue operations race against time as they look through the debris and flood-affected areas to find the missing people. Typhoon Younis made landfall in Taiwan, causing widespread damage and disruptions. The typhoon brought heavy rainfall and strong winds, triggering floods, landslides and power outages affecting over 490,000 homes. According to reports, at least 28 people were injured and 2 fatalities were reported. Authorities cancelled over 300 flights and reduced high-speed train services. Nearly 3,000 people were evacuated on multiple county roads, disrupted due to flooding and mudslides. The government has forecast heavy rain across the island as the typhoon moves north, bringing further challenges. Mount Lewotobi, Laki-Laki in Indonesia's East Nusa Tenggara province erupted, spewing volcanic ash clouds 18 kilometers into the sky. The explosive eruption comes nearly a month after the volcano's previous eruption, which caused flight cancellations in and out of nearby Bali. Asia-Pacific markets traded mixed on Monday after US President Donald Trump confirmed that reciprocal tariffs, first announced in April, will take effect on the 1st of August for countries that haven't struck a deal. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 slipped 0.53% at the open. South Korea's Kospi added 0.19%. Australia's ASX 200 slid 0.11%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index lost 0.61% and mainland China's CSI 300 dipped 0.12%. US stock futures fell after Trump confirmed that tariffs are set to go into effect August 1st, not July 9th. The US dollar hovered near its lowest since 2021 against the euro and the weakest since 2015 versus the Swiss franc, with traders alert for any trade-related headlines in the countdown to US President Donald Trump's tariff deadline. Most US trade partners are set to see much steeper duties at the end of the 90-day moratorium on Trump's Liberation Day reciprocal tariffs. Trump said his administration is close to finalizing several trade deals in the coming days. While he will name some dozen countries that are receiving letters with their new higher levies, so far only Britain, China and Vietnam have agreed to any sort of trade deal with the White House. And oil prices slipped after OPEC Plus surprised markets by hiking output more than expected in August. Uncertainty over US tariffs and their potential impact on global economic growth weighed on demand expectations. Brent crude futures fell 0.69% to $67.83 a barrel by 3:27 a.m. GMT, while US oil was down 1.42%. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies agreed on Saturday to raise production by 548,000 barrels per day in August. However, they added that the actual output increase has been smaller than planned so far and most of the supply has been from Saudi Arabia. Samsung Electronics expected to forecast a 39% plunge in second quarter operating profit, weighed down by delays in supplying advanced memory chips to artificial intelligence chip leader Nvidia. The world's biggest maker of memory chips is projected to report an April to June operating profit of 6.3 trillion won or $4.62 billion. That's the lowest income in 6 quarters, according to LSEG. The prolonged weakness in its financial performance has deepened investor concerns over the South Korean tech giant's ability to catch up with smaller rivals in developing high-bandwidth memory chips used in artificial intelligence data centers. Japanese real wages in May fell at the fastest pace in nearly 2 years as persistent inflation continued to outpace wage growth and hinder consumption-led growth in the world's fourth largest economy. While a labor group report last week showed unionized Japanese workers had their biggest average pay hike in 34 years, the feeble broader wage data spells concerns about Japan's economic recovery amid uncertainties over US trade tariffs. The main culprit behind the nominal pay growth slowdown was an 18.7% fall in special payments, which are mainly made up of volatile one-off bonuses. Data last week showed Japanese household spending surged in May, offering some hope that consumption might be turning a corner despite cost pressures and wage inflation gap. India has made a remarkable comeback against England in the second test at Edgbaston. The men in blue bowled out the hosts for 271 runs as they registered a memorable 336 run to level the 5-match series 1-all. India, the first Asian team to win the test at Edgbaston, chasing an improbable 536 to win the second test. England faced an uphill task, but Akashdeep wasted no time continuing the damage he had started late in on day 4. He finished with 6 for 99 in the innings and 10 wickets in the match.